Hello everybody and welcome to the Hungaroring for round 6 of the Jack Ashton Racing, the Novice Racing League Ferrari Challenge here this season. This is the penultimate round, as you may know at this point. Just one round to go after this one. Next week at Thruxton. But this week it is the Hungaroring. To get you warmed up for the Hungarian Grand Prix, maybe later on if you're going to watch that. We're watching some Ferrari Challenge racing round here instead. In the rain this time around. Now, myself, Ian Leary, James Parfitt will take you through the action as always. And James, as we know, rain races don't often pull in the same numbers to what dry races do. But I think it was 2 seasons ago. I think we had our best round of the season at the Red Bull Ring when it rained. And there was barely anybody at that race, but it was great racing. So hopefully that will be the same here for this round at the Hungaroring instead.
I'm a little bit worried about this. I have to be honest. I'm not a lover of the Hungaroring, and I will tell you now, right? It's one of them tracks you either get amazing racing or the racing is just meh. And I'm a little bit worried that we've come to a circuit where that can happen and then chucked rain in there. And yeah, I'm a little bit worried, to be blatantly honest with you, Mr. O'Leary. I have to be honest with you, and I'm going to find out how this is going to go. But yeah, not entirely sure. But we've got the scores on the doors for this week.
Yeah, the scores currently, as you can see, show Tommy Patero a long way ahead of the rest. He is not far away from sealing this title already, with 40 points over Matt Warner. Andy Pratt is in the top 3 ahead of Ian Knox and Alistair Clark. Bit of a gap back to Nicholas Green and Eric Orchin, who are in 6th and 7th place. Orchin, of course, is an AM driver. Nicholas Green, one of our pros. So Orchin leading in the AM class. Tom Weston, George Metikos, Parker Enquiries round out the top 10. Reece Bartlett's quite close to Enquiries. Garrett Kinney's just 1 point in front of Jerome Wolf, with Stephen Laird and Tim Wybrow running out the top 15. Trey Lambrecht next ahead of Hayden Britton. Mark Calver further down. Mark Calver, of course, not been at many rounds so far, but he was at the Bend last week. That's why he's just on the 50 points at the bottom of the standings there. But 2 championship leaders with quite some distance, actually, between them and the rest. There you can see those at the bottom who have not been at very many rounds so far this season. Yeah, it's a real big lead, actually, for Tommy Patero, 40 points, and for Orchin as well, who has got quite a big gap as well. He's not actually got a very good time just yet. He's coming through to end another lap now, but yeah, I'm not sure whether we're going to get really a title fight this season. Unfortunately, we'll just have to enjoy the last 2 rounds as they come.
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, it is what it is, isn't it? Tommy's done a great job, and nobody can really argue that, and that's the thing. And, oh, that don't look good. Oh, Andy Pratt, what have you been up to?
It's not usual. We get replays in qualifying. Oh. What is he doing there?
Oh dear. I have no idea. I know we don't normally, but I thought I'd have a look and just see how he ended up like that, to be honest, because that's quite impressive.
Yeah. Oh, no, what I mean is really we don't see people crashing qualifying very often, really. But there you go. There's a first for everything. Pratt will stay 7th then at the end of this session. He has been really, I saw him at the end of practice actually, really struggling actually to get this car turned around. I think the difficulty with these cars seems to be in the wet weather, getting the front end to cooperate. It seems very understeery. And so what I think Pratt was trying to do there is almost use the power, use the rear end to kick the rear end around almost, but wasn't complying. The front end just skating on forwards on the front end. Very annoying.
No, he's done it even worse now. The wheel's hanging off. Very good. Well done, Andy. I've got to say, if you do watch this back, fair play to you, son. After doing that on the car. Right, coming towards the end of qualifying, we'll be able to bring you up the grid very shortly here, Mr. O'Leary, and find out what we're looking at for this race.
Yeah, and it won't be any surprise, really, that Tommy Patero is on the front, in front of Jack Ashton, who's here today. Just over half a second behind Trey Lambrecht and Matt Warner, and then either side of a second off of pole. Nicholas Green is next ahead of Garrett Kinney, who is on pole in the AMs. Andy Pratt and Ian Knox are in between him, though, and second place Eric Orchin in the AM class. Parker Enquiries rounds out the top 10 with Alistair Clark and Reece Bartlett outside the top 10. 13th place has gone to Stephen Laird, who I'm not sure is going to be here, but I guess so. He has set a time, so he should be here. The drivers then pull themselves onto the grid, and we'll see here, 20 minutes of racing. Going to be a difficult start for everybody, skating down towards turn 1, which is difficult normally, never mind in the wet conditions.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be interesting. They've got kind of a hard stop down at turn 1, and they've got to make a rotation of almost 90 degrees back on themselves. So they've also got to be aware that coming out of turn 4, which is just after the red dot, the first red dot on the left-hand side, there's a lovely little bit of a grate. So if they go out the outside and they hit the drain in the rain, well, it could be all over. So they've got to be a bit careful of going around turn 4 as well. Lots of danger points on this circuit, and unfortunately, these guys are going to have to try and master them all.
Yeah, it's certainly a difficult circuit in the dry conditions, but we're in the wet here today. Let's see how it goes as the penultimate round of the Jack Aston Racing, the Novice Racing League Ferrari Challenge Championship gets underway. Not too much spray being kicked up actually, as the rain now does begin on the run down towards turn number 1, as it will do throughout the day. Patero down towards turn 1 in the lead in front of Ashton and Green. Warner looks up the inside of Nicholas Green on the way towards turn number 1. And he can't get past quite. It's a calm start from everybody, as Kinney actually loses a couple of places overall. So the AM standings are a lot closer as Eric Orchin applies the pressure. Kinney applies the pressure back to Andy Pratt actually, but a very clean start from everybody. Parker Enquiries decided to start from pit lane, expecting there to be trouble, but there wasn't any down at turn 1.
No, everybody made it through without any dramas. Patero got off the line like an absolute rocket. Ashton didn't really move that much. That's brought Green into the equation. Matt Warner sitting there as well. Kinney has basically lost 2 places, but is still leading the AMs ahead of Eric Orchin. Clark's up 1, Laird's up 2. Obviously, Enquist starting from pit lane is all the way down the back there at the moment. But Tommy Patero, great job out in front as they're on their way in through 6 and 7, down to the run to 8, and he's got Ashton tucked up right behind him.
Yeah, he's right there, and if the qualifying is anything to go by, that won't last too long. Patero will get away, but with the wheel tracks to follow here, can Jack just stay in the wheels here of Patero as they come round the left-hander at turn 10 there? It suddenly turns into a corner before 11, which is normally a very fast, committed turn. It's much more of a slower one here in the wet weather conditions. A look from Warner again on Green in the background, who's in the lime green, as you can see. Couple of battles going on down towards turn 12, so hopefully these remain throughout the 20 minutes as Aston looks up the inside. Patero forced to defend into the penultimate corner, and he goes a bit wide.
Yeah, he kind of had to go and hit the brakes and almost try and find the apex there, did Patero. Now in through turn 14, Patero still out in front of Ashton. Green still in behind. He's got Warner and behind that with Knox as well. Kinney leading the AMs. He's got about a 1.4 second gap to Eric Orchin, but Ashton looking racy, and Patero, well, he's going to have to defend.
And he will do that as well. Ashton looks up the inside, as does Warner in the background. These 2 battles almost simultaneously happening on the way towards turn number 1, but Ashton's certainly putting Patero under a lot of pressure here. That was a better exit initially, but look at the spray. It's so difficult to follow. That's one of the difficulties in terms of overtaking in the wet weather conditions. You actually can't really see where you're going when you're trying to get a slipstream off of the driver in front, so it's very, very difficult to manage. The adjustments made through turn number 3. Now they plunge up to 4, where the fast left-hander is, of course. Warner gets a better run this time, though, on Green. They're going to go side by side into turn 4. And who's going to... Oh, my word! Green on the inside. Warner round the outside of 4. He's up the curb. And he's going to be back on again safely. But Nicholas Green still holds the place. He's on the outside where the rubber is not. And so he'll keep 3rd place for now. This is good racing between the 2, and Ian Knox now joins as well. Yeah,
joined in there. I thought it was going to be dangerous for Warner out on that outside curb. That's where the grate is, just on the outside. And of course it's metal and it's slippery, and I thought he was going to end up spinning across the track there, but he managed to hold on to it, did Warner. But a great job from Green there, holding that line. You can see Ashton and Patero now. Patero's about half a second out from that. Andy Pratt's in behind this with Trey Lambert having a nice little scrap as well. Garrett Kinney still got basically about 4 seconds now. Big send up the inside. There's going to be contact. There is going to be contact from Andy Pratt, and he just about manages to hold on to the car, but didn't get the position from Lambrecht, and he's going to try again as they head down into turn 12. Oh, and more contact as well between Pratt and Lambrecht. That is not ideal. Andy Pratt makes it through, though, muscles his way through on the inside line. Further in the background, oh, look at that. Kinney looks up the inside of Lambrecht, who's now on the inside of Pratt, and again they make a bit of contact. There's a lot going on between these 2 at the moment. So go side by side now through the final turn. Nicholas Green loses a couple of places. How has he managed that? Warner and Ian Knox have both gone through now. Yeah, I think he's run wide. We'll have a look once they go past down into turn 1. Nick Green pulls out of the spray, can't see anything, tucks in. Is he going to send it up the inside? He's going to have a go. Is there going to be contact? He wants that line. He's come back through. He's going to be able to hold it. Is he? No. I think he's going to be stuck there at the moment. I think Knox is going to come and run the inside into the left-hander at turn 2. They make a little bit of contact. Nick Green looking racy after whatever the mistake he made has lost in them 2 positions. And this was the situation for Nick here as well.
This is what happened to Nick Green at the final corner. This is going to be a little bit of contact, is it? Not quite. So that's the issue with getting the power on there, the understeer through the final corner, although it's the same for a lot of these corners because they're sort of similar all around. You just can't really get the power down. His front end is not very responsive, really, and so when someone's on your outside like that, they really do restrict the amount of road you can use. It's on their terms, effectively, and you just can't get the power down the way that you wanted to. So that made it very difficult for Nick Green there, although he doesn't quite look as quick as Warner or Knox at the moment anyway. We go back to the battle, though, the closer battle for the lead. Sliding, all sorts going on here between Patero and Ashton. Slightly different lines through 10, give you a different line at 11. And a wiggle on the straight there from Ashton as well. He's close enough, though, to have a look. He's late enough on the brakes to have a look. Inside line, got to be careful again of the understeer. And Patero's able to keep the place. Ashton didn't slide straight on into the side of him, at least.
Yeah, he didn't there. He managed to hold it into turn 12. Patero still looking up the inside in 13. And he's going to give, unfortunately, might have to relinquish that inside line there to Jack. Jack's coming out through turn 14 now. They're going to be coming out side by side for the run down into turn 1.
They certainly are. This is going to be a big chance for Ashton again, and surely he's going to try and take it. Where does Patero go? That'll be the bigger question. Inside or outside? He's sort of in the middle, really. Picks neither. In the end, it's inside, but he's broken too late. You can see that happening from a long way out. He missed the apex there by a mile, but again, he's put his car in the way at least, so that Ashton couldn't slip through.
Yeah, he's been hard on the brakes trying to get the car flicked into the apex at the moment. Patero again, very, very, very deep. Very deep. Ashton's going to go. Is he going to know? Patero's got to be a little bit careful. He's overdriving that machine and he's still got 13 minutes to go. Whoa. They're coming up to the left-hander at turn 4. This is going to be really dodgy if Patero goes wide.
Oh, a big slide. He grabs the curb and he's off. He's off through turn 4. Ashton nearly follows him as they go off across the curb. It's really wet out there. Of course, offline. And Ashton's surely going to go through on the inside now. He can't get the power down, though. Again, the same problem when you're on the inside in a power-on corner like that one, or the final corner as well. It's so difficult when the car on the outside is dictating how much road you can use. And Ashton again couldn't get past. I can't decide which of the two is quicker at the moment because and we can't really tell either because Patero keeps making mistakes.
Yeah, he does at the moment, and he's still managing to hold on to it. That's the thing. He's going in deep into pretty much most corners, and he's managing to hold on and get the car stopped to rotated. But it ain't going to be long. Ashton's climbing all over the back of him here. It's definitely not going to be long before Ashton tries to get through. But it's whether or not Ashton can then escape up the road from Patero. And he does go through. Jack goes in too deep. Patero's now coming back at him around the outside. Ashton's going to have the inside for 13. Patero's got to run it all the way around the outside.
He is going to do it. Wow, on the outside again. But watch out for the inside here. It's more difficult to get the power on from the inside of one of these corners, like the final one, unless your nose is in front, but it's not for Patero. And there you go. The run round the outside, it prevails so often here in these cars, in these conditions, at this racetrack. And Jack Ashton takes the lead after 4 laps. These two have been slowing each other down loads, by the way, and I wonder whether they're going to take a lap off the race as a result. It looks like probably not. We'll still get 11 laps as we should do, but these two are battling so hard, and it's notable, I think, that they're able to go quicker than the rest of the field, even while doing all this.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing here for these guys, that, you know, they've got to realise that this battling, although is exciting for us, isn't doing them any favours. Now the question is, if Ashton sort of locks up a couple of laps here and Patero keeps making mistakes, that gap up front, which is now 4 tenths, is going to be a bit longer. And you can see behind that, Knox and Green are teetering in and out. Clark and Enquist are also teetering in and out around that half-second mark. Patero deep again, not going to get it stopped. That's going to free up Ashton to escape.
Certainly will. Patero's got to clean up these errors in the next couple of moments if he wants to stay with Ashton, and he's not doing it. He breaks too late for the chicane now. Jumps across, and that might be a slowdown. Not sure what the situation is actually at turn 6 and 7 with slowdowns in iRacing, but that looked like it might be one if there is one. But no, He gets away with it, it looks like. And again, he's got to clean up the mistakes. Nick Green has made a mistake somewhere though. A bigger one, it looks like. He has not hit anything because his car's not damaged, but he's certainly behind Pratt and Longbrecht. He's actually under pressure from Pratt, as we know. He sort of let Pratt through and then broke too late. Outside line and had to. Oh yeah, he's gone across the gravel, where somebody else has already been, by the way. Brought a load of stones onto the circuit. This is Garrett Kinney into turn 12. Oh my word! He hit the and he's going to hit the fence pretty hard as well. He hit the brakes where you meant to, but there's so many puddles there. He just slid instantly when he hit the brakes.
Yeah, absolutely, and he was just kind of aquaplaned off, and unfortunately couldn't get the car stopped there for poor old Nick Green and also Garrett Kinney. But Parker Enquist has moved his way through the field, up 2 places at the moment, battling away with Alistair Clark.
Absolutely is. Through the final corner for Enquist. We can get past anywhere here. As now make their way onto the front straight. In the background, Bartlett and Laird are also pretty close as well, so we'll keep an eye on these two battles throughout the next 10 minutes, of course. But I've got to say, this has been great racing so far. I did suspect, I didn't say that, I wish I'd said this at the start of the broadcast, I did suspect that the rain might help us avoid the usual problems you get at the Hungaroring with overtaking that you pointed out at the start of the race. I did suspect this might happen, the rain might help, and so far I think it has just helped with the racing a little bit. Yeah,
it has. It's brought people in, but people have obviously made mistakes and things like that as well. And obviously, don't forget, we've got the full reverse grid for race number 2, and that's going to be interesting because we have the likes of Ashton, Patero, Warner, Knox and Pratt all trying to come through on the likes of Bartlett, Laird, Enquist and Clark. So that's going to get spicy. Reece Bartlett is also getting a little bit spicy towards the back end. At the same time, Stephen Laird off the side of the circuit. That's going to allow Bartlett to go through, and that is a position change for them guys. Patero gap out front was about 1.2. He's managed to get it back, but Alistair Clark at this moment in time where are you? Oh, he's gone off the side of the circuit as poor old Mr. Enquist. And I've got a funny feeling it may be deja vu.
He may be experiencing a bit of that in a moment. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Oh, he's actually hit hit Clark in front there, and his front bumper's popped back on again. So maybe the damage is not too bad, but yeah, there was definitely a brief bit of damage there in the background. Enquist is going to get close to Laird now. Makes a bit of an error through turn 11, sliding even on the straight. Now on the brakes again, where found the wall before. Parker Enquist down the Kinney found the wall before, I should say. Parker Enquist down the inside, and he does get back ahead of Laird again, but now he goes off again at the penultimate corner, and Laird goes straight back through.
Yeah, it's a mistake after mistake after mistake here, isn't it? Nobody really wants to hold on to a position at the moment between Enquist and Laird at the back here. Both of them still making little mistakes, but this car does not look good in the rain, Ewan, as you can see there for Stephen Laird.
Around, yeah, it doesn't look good to drive in the rain, no, which is definitely true. Yeah, it's racing all right in the rain. That's a good thing. This will be our closest battle on the circuit now, unless somebody makes a mistake in that midfield. The gaps are just about a second or so or more. But yeah, the problem with getting the front end turned in these cars is chronic. It looks like there's just no way to deal with it really, and yeah, they're getting through it just about. But this is super difficult for everybody in these conditions, and you know, maybe highlights something we've not been talking about enough so far this season, which is actually this car is just very understeer, and it is in the dry, and it's just being highlighted a bit more now in the wet.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing. It's really bad in the wet. It's properly being emphasised that this car just does not like the rain at all. It looks slidey. It looks like that, as you've just seen on board with Patero. He was turning left to go right, and it just doesn't look at all healthy. But look at the puddles. Look at the aquaplaning. Look how deep some of them are. It's absolutely nuts. Hungaroring does not really find a dry line even in the rain. They've got to go in the puddles to get the car going forward. It's bonkers.
Very difficult as 6 minutes to go. If they continue on at this pace, by the way, we will get 11 laps as expected. If these two really start to fight a lot, then it will be just 10 late on the brakes from Patero again. Got to be a bit careful with that when you're the trailing car. got to be very careful of that. But he trails it into turn 1. It wasn't quite close to hitting Ashton, but he's got to be careful of it if it gets a bit closer and he breaks a bit later. Then contact can definitely be made, and it would definitely be his fault. So he's got to be very wary of that as they now come out of turn 3. He's right there again, Patero. These few laps in the wheel tracks have helped, and that's a spin, rather a slide from Ashton, who just goes across to the other side of the circuit. And Patero really now is applying that pressure.
Yeah, he's climbing all over him now. 5 minutes to go here. They're topping nearly 2-minute lap times. 1:58.44 is the fastest lap from Ashton at the moment. I don't think that's going to be anywhere near this. I've got a funny feeling that he will literally be within the tracks of Patero, and we'll have a look and see just how close Patero is going to get. Look at the gravel on the inside. It's bad enough in the rain as it is. And now they've got the sort of gravel all over the track as well. You can see Ashton half a second slower than Patero that time around, that last lap. And we'll keep an eye on what it is this time.
Yeah, worth noting that Patero did have an off-track throughout it, so that's not the fastest lap of the race, even though it is faster than the fastest lap of the race. It doesn't count towards that because of his off-track moment, wherever that would have been. I imagine he might have the same here as well, as they're applying the pressure. There may not be very many laps actually where they both stay on the circuit the whole time anymore because of the race that they're about to have. A little bit deep on the brakes there, Patero in towards the penultimate corner. He pulls it back for a late apex, bit of a slide again on the exit as well. Have a look at the conditions. 40% raining at the moment, 1:45 in the afternoon. Track temperature much less of a concern because it is raining. 4 minutes to go as they work their way over the line. Ashton a little bit quicker that time in the 58.4s, and that's been the same, by the way, for Jack for the last 3 laps in a row.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He knows that he made a mistake, and he's just got to try and calm down for the last couple of laps. They're only going to get probably this one and one more in, but depending on obviously what goes on. Patero deep again. But he does kind of, by sort of doing that triangle, he kind of does get a bit of a slingshot out. But it's still not as quick as the normal racing line, if you can find a racing line at this circuit in the rain.
It's very loose, the racing line around here, really. It's just where you can find some grip, find some speed. That's where you run. Outside of turn 5 definitely seems to be a place to go. Ashton did it there, and he got a good run on the exit and also a good run through the middle there, which is unusual for the 5th corner. A little bit wide though into the first part of the chicane there. Patero got that much better, and he has been nailing the chicane actually in the last couple of laps. So Patero driving well here, and even a look down the inside at turn 9. That is an unusual place to do it, but he was never going to make the move anyway. He's just getting into the head of Ashton here as they come round towards what could be the end of the penultimate lap. We'll see whether iRacing are throwing the white flag when they come round.
Yeah. Well, we got 34 seconds, and they've got to get round the last quarter of the circuit. Ashton deep again. That's brought Patero into him once more. There we go. That's how close they are. 20 seconds. This is going to be really close, I've got to be honest. Patero trying the outside though. Ashton's made a mistake over the last couple of corners.
Hello, he's there. Oh, understeer. Ashton's got to give the room though. Oh, if that's the situation. Oh no! Whoa! Look at that! Patero slides everywhere, and he'll be very pleased that the white flag was not being waved in the background, because his big chance down towards turn 1 and turn 2 would have been completely out of the question, given how far he was behind. That was a big slide though. That's the risk on the outside. I've been talking about how it's so advantageous to be out there, and it is true most of the time, but there is the risk that you're out wide and on the curb, and Patero very nearly got away from him there as they dive towards turn 2. My goodness, that was tight towards the big braking zone there. This is where Ashton made a mistake last time, don't forget, through turn 3. Much better this time. Yeah,
and I've got a funny feeling this is going to be over at the end of this. I think that they crossed the line with 2 minutes 1 second. So they've got to lose 3 seconds before we go into another lap, right? That's how it works. Generally, you go across the line. So I've got a funny feeling this could be the final lap if they're continuing to do this all the way around this lap.
They haven't lost very much time yet this lap. They've been getting kind of close, but they've only been losing seconds, which is what you need to. I think if they've been running side by side through this whole section here, this final section, the middle section, sorry, yes, but yes, they might lose the time. But I think even if battling through the final sector, because the lines are so interchangeable anyway, you can keep up some decent speed. So I think they'll be okay to get another lap. And to be honest, I do want them to get round for another lap. This is a very, very good race so far between Patero and Ashton. Oh no! Ashton very nearly hit by Patero, who goes for a big spin here into turn 12. He got on the curb, he got in the puddles, he broke too late for turn 12. He was trying to size up Jack Ashton just in front of him there, and he slides off the circuit, spins into the run-up area, and that's the end of that. He's down to second, and that will be the race.
Yeah, that will be it. I think Ashton's going to take it from here. The question will be, where are we going to lie on the side of iRacing final lap? It is the final lap there, and that was it. We'll have a look back at Tommy Patero's drama.
Let's have a look again. Patero just brakes too late. He knows immediately. Oh my word, that's close. He knows immediately when he hits the brakes there that he's broke too late, because you can see him immediately stomp on the brakes a little bit more than normal. This is Andy Pratt, by the way, from fourth place. Through turn 4. Runs wide towards 5, and he's lucky that there's a big load of runoff on the outside there, because he gets away without crashing and losing a place to Lumbrecht. Clark versus Orchin, be a fight for ninth on the last lap, but they're a long way behind the leaders. These guys haven't even really made any mistakes, but they're 45 seconds and more away from the leader.
Yeah, they are. They've just gone over the line now as well, but it's the closest battle on the circuit. But keep an eye on what goes on up front. You see Ashton's on his way through turn 6 and 7 at the moment, as Alistair Clark Orchin kind of made the rough turn 1. And has lost 3 tenths just in that turn 1.
It's defended nicely on the way towards 2. You can see the difference in the speed. It's visual, isn't it, to watch these guys compared to those behind. Last lap, these two were in the 04s and 05s, whereas Ashton did a 59. It's obvious to see the difference. 58.9, by the way, from Warner, who, if he keeps up that pace and keeps up that trend anyway, getting into the 48s, might be able to stay with the 2 leaders in race 2, but don't forget it's a full reverse grid, so it's going to be different anyway, as Clark goes a bit wide there, looking for 9th. Out front, Jack Ashton is going to take a victory in this series. What a fantastic race between himself and Tommy Patero here in the rain at the Hungaroring. The rain delivering again in the Jack Ashton Racing, the Novice Racer League Ferrari Challenge. He goes over the line. Jack Ashton wins race 1 at the Hungaroring in a great fight between himself and Patero. 3.8 seconds the gap on the line.
Yeah, it was a shame though, because it was a great run. Trey Lambrecht is in behind Andy Pratt. Coming into the final couple of corners, there's another battle behind of Alistair Clark. I think Pratt's now going to get that due to Lambrecht's run out of that final couple of corners. But here is Alistair Clark, and he's still going full ball with Eric Orchin.
I think he'll be getting past, but he's going to put the pressure on right to the very end. See if he gets inside the final corner. Might not matter. On the outside there, and Orchin will keep the place. Kinney comes over the line. He will win the AM class here in race 1 at the Hungaroring. Orchin will finish 2nd ahead of Clark, and then Enquiries will round off the podium in the AM class as well. A bit further down, Bartlett and Laird will round out the field as well, and they will be on the front row together for race number 2, which is going to be very exciting to watch. But I get the feeling that it's going to be Ashton and Patero 1 and 2 again, I feel.
Yeah, it's how they come through. That's going to be the question. They're going to have all the pros bar Clark in front of them. So it's how nice they want to be. If they want to move out the way, they'll let them through. If they want to defend, well, they're going to be able to hold on and keep them there. But yeah, it's going to be tough for them to get through, especially if the guys do not let them through and they defend like crazy.
Jack Ashton then takes the race victory in race number 1 ahead of Tommy Patero, 3.8 seconds. Matt Warner rounds off the podium. Might be able to stay with them in race 2 as well. Ian Knox and Andy Pratt round out the top 5 with Trey Lambrecht next ahead of Nicholas Green. Garrett Kinney is the winner in the AMS ahead of Eric Orchin, with Alistair Clark rounding out the top 10. Parker Enquiries, Reece Bartlett, Stephen Laird round out the field. That'll be tipped on its head for the grid in race 2, although we're not there yet, obviously. The warm-up session to come first. Kinney and Enquist the only drivers to make their way out. And I've got to say, after 20 minutes of driving, they've gone back out straight in the same conditions again. Not sure entirely why, really, why they don't just have a bit of a relax before that second race of the day. But clearly they want a bit more practice.
Maybe they're just trying to find dry lines, a bit more grip. I don't know. Something to go with the car, because the car does look blinking awful to drive in the rain. Yeah, I'm the same as you. Sit back, chill. I don't feel I need to go out, but some people do. But yeah, not sure what this will gain.
Well, they will just get a bit of extra practice in, I suppose, as they passed the load of gravel that was brought onto the circuit throughout that race. Some people running straight on and through that gravel trap, through the chicane. And that has not affected the racing line too much. It's largely off the racing line coming off of turn 7. We'll see though just how quickly those guys who are at the front can make their way through the reverse grid. It's one of those situations actually where I'm sort of like, normally I'm very up for a reverse grid. As a commentator, it's always very exciting to watch a reverse grid. But actually, the first race was so good here between those two that you kind of want to see Ashton and Patero battle between themselves again. But you might not get that as they're coming through the field at different rates in the reverse grid.
Yeah, maybe not, but I still think it's going to be exciting to see them come through. I think that watching Patero and watching Ashton come through past the likes of Warner, and I just want them not to roll over. Give it a good blinking go. Block when you need to. Defend if you have to. Make it as difficult for them. Otherwise, it is going to be a Patero Ashton 1-2 by the time we get through to lap 3. You know, give them a go. Put the effort in. Hug the apexes. Stay away from that, because that will kill you. Just, have a go, innit?
I just suspect, though, that there's not going to be much they can do, to be honest, even if they do have a go, which I think they all will. But I don't know if there's much they're going to be able to do here about Patero and Ashton. And it's going to be a question between the two of them who can make their way through the field the quickest rather than anything else. But, it'd be good to be proven wrong. And for those two to get a challenge. Looking at the lap times, the best lap times, the gap for best lap times from first to last in the race that we've just seen there was very, very big indeed. So I think it would be a huge shock for Patero and Ashton not to finish 1-2. The surprise could come from Warner because, he is ahead to begin with, and that could help him stay in front, at least defend for a little while as well, which could throw a third driver into the mix at least.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. I think it's rain, and it is just unpredictable. You know what I mean? It's a continuation, isn't it? It's just unpredictable in general. And I like to see that these guys will give it a good go, see what happens, in a car that really, as we've seen from race 1, does not like this scenario and like the rain. But just, work hard, see how you can get on, find your grip, find your line, and see if you can have a good time in the process, as well as having some great racing.
Yeah, well, that's what we'll see in a minute or so. As only 4 or 5 of the drivers actually made their way out onto the circuit. Kenny and Enquiries will end their lap times for what that's worth. 2:02.7. I mean, that's 4 seconds slower than the best lap time for Joey Patero during that last race. So I know he would have been on lower fuel, setting that later, obviously, but even so, that's a very, very big gap indeed. That I'm not sure those guys are going to be able to really hold back here for 20 minutes to have it. It's a pretty long race. As Patero gets closer and closer to sealing his championship, by the way, even though he finished second there. Matt Warner will have lost more points to him there. Matt Warner 40 points behind coming into today.
I think this is Patero's though. As much as I love Matt, I think this is Patero's championship.
Could be pretty easily. We'll see if it's actually settled by the end of today. I think if that result happens again, maybe not, but he's very, very close to it anyway. Have a look at the starting grid meantime of the second race. Obviously, this is just the first race tipped on its head. So Stephen Laird and Reece Bartlett on the front row, all lockout. Parker Enquist, Clark on row 2, ahead of Eric Orch and Garrett Kinney. Nicholas Green and Trey Lumbrecht on row 4 ahead of Andy Pratt and Ian Knox running out the top 10. Matt Warner and Tony Patero next ahead, obviously, of Jack Ashton, who will be at the back end of the field. It's a very clean run through the opening lap last time round. Hopefully it's going to be the same second time round as we get race 2 underway. Parker Enquist seemed to be on the grid for a moment and now he's disappeared again, so he will start from the pit lane, and maybe that was a choice by him as the lights come on now here from the Hungaroring. The second race of the day now underway, and it's a good start to see from Nick Green there all the way back in the pack. A little look down the inside as well from Alistair Clark, who's going to maybe try and take both of the leaders in one go here. Bartlett is on his immediate left-hand side. Then on the other side, Laird, who's given a lot of space on the inside of turn 1 there, as someone comes bounding down the inside. That's a good bit of overtaking, a good bit of drive. No, it's all gone wrong out the first corner. A big spin, and there's going to be a pile-up here. Multiple cars involved. Oh dear, oh dear. That's not what we wanted to see. Almost everybody involved, apart from the top 4 or so, which includes Tommy Patero, the only pro driver to get through there unscathed.
Yeah, I don't know if he got through there unscathed, mind you. As we can see, Ian Knox has got a meatball. I think there was some form of drama. Trey Alistair's back in pit lane. Trey Lambrecht's back in pit lane. You can see, I think that is not Andy Pratt. I think that's Matt Warner. Has got no front end at all. Ashton got caught up in that as well. We had to hit the brakes hard to get that car stopped before he went into any dramatics of what was going on in front. But yeah, at the moment, Stephen Laird's still out in front, and we're almost at the end of lap 1. So good job, Steve.
He's going to get to the end of lap 1 in the lead, I would expect, unless something goes really wrong, and it has gone wrong for Bartlett in the background as Kinney will get closer. Patero will as well. This is Todd Patero's race, surely, at the end of this. Kinney will get past Bartlett in the meantime through turn 10. Oh no! Oh, there was contact. Off camera, there was contact. And now there's only 2 cars, I believe, who have not been delayed or damaged in this first lap. A lot of cars have fallen afoul of this opening lap. Let's see how it happened here while we were looking away. Oh, it's already slides for Bartlett. And contact made between the 2 through turn 10, and they both end up in the wall.
Yeah, I think Patero managed to avoid that again. Oh, he did end up on the grass, mind you. Trying to avoid that drama. Just how close was it for Tommy? I think it was a lot closer than we think. Because I think he spins literally in front of him. Oh, he does. He checks up, gets the car round, and managed to carry on. But that first one, drama at the beginning. Yeah, I'm going to have to try and find how that all started.
Ashton is going to give chase to Tommy Patero here, and Pratt is going to defend from him quite fiercely. Ashton was delayed in that first lap incident, although not quite involved. Pratt will turn back underneath him here as Ashton brakes quite late. It's kind of what you've got to do in these cars when you're on the inside. You've got to brake very late, and he'll do it again now, I'd imagine, down towards turn number 2. Again, dive for the apex brake late. No, didn't do it late enough that time round, and that's allowed Pratt round the outside, but no, not quite enough. And Ashton gets the position up to 4th, but he's nearly 4 seconds behind Patero, who I would still say, even despite the fact he had to go off track to avoid that crash, he's still the favourite here.
I agree with you. I think his lap times are going to be considerably quicker than Stephen Laird, and I think he's going to be out in front before we even get there. It just depends on how far Ashton can get at the moment. Why he's settled down just for a minute. This was Nick Green's here. Is this where it all kicks off? Yeah. That's Clark, isn't it, in front?
I don't know. Might be. Yeah, might be. Yes, it is. He initially loses it on the... There's a bit of contact. There's a bit of contact there, and he's trying to get back going again. It's just a pile-up, really. Ian Knox involved, Nick Green as well, and a couple of drivers just ploughing in. I mean, Jack actually doesn't hit anybody, but he's really delayed. But, oh, someone in the background there comes steaming in. Not sure who that was. Oh, that's Enquist, of course, who started from the pit lane and very nearly found himself in even more trouble because of it. He came flying on the scene there. He wouldn't have known what was happening. But, yeah, he came flying in and thankfully avoided everybody. 4 minutes gone then. Lap 2 about to be completed. And Stephen Laird's run at the front of the field is only going to be 2 laps. I think Tony Patero is going to be past him very, very soon. And he needs to, because his 2 fiercest rivals are now right behind him.
Yeah, I think it's not going to be long. I'm surprised Warner is still managing to go in that car. We'll play this up down to turn 1 and we'll have a look at Warner's car. Look at the state of it. It's got no front end, no bonnet, nothing for Matty Warner. Is he still...
He's driving straight.
Oh...
to find out, I think. But
No, you
yeah.
should straighten up.
I think I think that's straight. As Patero goes down the inside, you saw it in the distance. He went through on Laird, and that was coming. And now Patero's path to the race victory is clear. Warner and Ashton will battle away behind as well. I know that, suspension damage certainly doesn't seem to have affected Warner. He doesn't seem to have any, but surely there must be some damage. And so there's none of that front end left on that Ferrari.
No, there definitely isn't, and I don't think it's going to take long for Ashton to get past him. I just hope they leave Stephen Laird alone. You know, go past him, which is what you're going to do, but just leave him alone. Don't get involved with him, because he's leading the AMs. He's done a great job at the moment to hold on for 3 laps. You know, he's still got 15 minutes to go in the race. Just go past him, but just don't touch him.
Oh, hello. It's close to Warner. And Laird, who is checking this one up as well. They've got to be careful of the concertina effect you will have seen just there. He'll really slowed up. Ashton now looks down the inside. That's wide from Warner. Again, lets a bit loose on the outside where the puddles are. Gates on the brakes. And he's on the outside, so he will stay there. And Ashton can't shut the door on him completely. Down the inside then for Warner. Laird goes off almost as if to give them the place by accident.
Yeah, he didn't give it to him by accident.
On the outside line. He's on the inside for the next part, but he'll have the place now.
Yeah, I don't think Laird gave him the place by accident. I think that was intentional. That was just I'm getting out of the way, please leave me alone. I've got a funny feeling. However, he is coming back at Matty Warner. Is he? No, he's just getting out of the spray, I think. Warner closely followed in. Oh, Laird's going to go in hot. Laird's going to go in hot. He's going to go in hot.
Oh, my word. That was close. Laird broke too late there. Very nearly found himself into the side of Jack Ashton. And now he's got Pratt and Kinney right behind him. Kinney, of course, is looking to be the AM leader in a moment. And he might well try and follow Pratt through. Pratt goes down the inside of turn 2. And so Laird now loses 4th place as well.
Now he's where he didn't want to be. That's the problem. He's now battling with Garrett Kinney, and he didn't want to be there. You know, they both had a great run at it, and unfortunately now, well, he's just lost it. Kinney's gone through as well. So Laird overdriving the Ferrari for the lap he was on, and has unfortunately now lost. Well, he was in 2nd. He's now in 6th and lost the lead of the AMs.
Yeah, that is a shame for Laird. Kind of his own making there, unfortunately. Got a better run through there though on Kinney. We'll see whether he can come back again. Obviously it started much ahead of Kinney because of where they finished in the previous race. Kinney started in 6th place. Laird obviously on the pole. So we'll see whether he can actually stay there, but I think this is going to be very, very difficult indeed for Laird to stay with Kinney, who is looking good for a top 5 finish here at the end of this race. And it's not going to be much of an AM battle, but Laird's still hanging about there for now.
Yeah, I think it'd be a shame if he didn't win the AMs. Don't get me wrong, you know, he's done a great job and he's got himself in. He was up in front and then held on for 2nd till lap 3, and then it's just kind of unravelled. He's just got to now find a way to calm his head back down and just relax and do what he was doing over lap 1 and 2, because the last thing he really wants to do is get in such a kerfuffle and you know, be in his own head that he doesn't even get the win in the AMs. Because for Stephen Laird that would suck, because he did do such a great job over the first 3 laps, but Garrett Kinney kind of pulling away from him at the moment.
Yeah, he is. He is staying with Pratt as things stand in the battle for 4th position. Last time round, Ashton was 4 tenths quicker than Tommy Patero as he took the fastest lap of the race away, so it's not over for the race lead just yet either. It seems that whoever's in 2nd is able to catch up to the leader and apply the pressure. It's happening again now between the leaders. Yeah,
you can see Ashton and Patero's lap time coming up on the bottom of the screen there, and as well. And that's the thing, I think where they can, I'm not saying they both can't see. What I'm trying to say is, like, Ashton's been released. He's kind of been released out into that clean air. He's now got barely any spray smacking in his face, and now he can go after Patero. Patero, however, his race 1 was amazing right up until the point where it wasn't. And that was involved in the incident and the slide that he had off the side of the circuit. So Patero's got to keep that in mind, but he's also got to try and make sure he can hold on to what he's got here. And at the moment, he's got the lead of the race. Probably not far off saying he might have the championship as well.
Yeah, it looks like it. Especially if he wins here, I think especially, it's looking very good indeed for him to have the championship. We won't call it yet because we're not entirely sure as to whether it will be or not, but this is certainly looking good for him anyway in that fight. Eric Orchin as well, by the way, in the AM standings, looking pretty good as well. Some of his closer rivals are not here, and in any case he led by over 20 points over the rest of the pack in the AM standings. There's another lap for Ashton and Patero, another fastest lap for Ashton as well, 3/10 of a second quicker this time than Patero out front.
Yeah, he's gaining on him now. He's gaining on him. It's only 3/10, mind you, and they're going to get at least 4, maybe 5 laps, depending on what happens. So we'll see how close Ashton can get. I'm surprised Maddie Warner is still running. Look at the state of that.
It looks bad, but I think it's quicker than coming in and repairing it.
You reckon?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, what was his last lap time?
2 minutes dead. Yeah.
He got his best lap last time was a 58.9, so he's not going to do that every time. If he's losing a second and a half a lap, there'll be 10 laps in this race. It's only 15 seconds. That's less than the run through the pit lane.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Nick Green has caught himself up and done something down into turn 1. I've got a funny feeling this might be missed braking zone and the back end coming round. Oh, definitely missed the braking zone.
Missed braking zone, yeah. And he runs a little bit wide, but there's your understeer. That's why you can't afford to brake too, unless you're diving down the inside of somebody. We saw Jack Aston do it on somebody earlier on in this race. Get close again. Unless you're diving down the inside of somebody, you don't really want to be braking too late, because that makes it even more difficult to get the front turn and turn in. My word! Andy Pratt with a big crash at turn 2. Goodness me.
Did you see his rear tyre, rear right? Watch the rear right wheel. He's coming over, he just misjudges where he is, starts hitting the white line, and then that's it. Bang, off and on goes the wing, and then bang, off goes his bumper. So that could be why Andy Pratt's car looks like that. That should free up Stephen Laird to get in front of him if he can, of course, with the fact that Pratt's carrying damage. But yeah, big old incident, and that was just purely because of a rear tyre on the white line.
Yeah, and again, with only 4 laps to go now, the time taken through pit lane is not going to be worth it compared to the damage, although if he crashes again, then he'll be feeling a bit sorry for himself after that one. Laird, though, is going to be onto the back of Pratt, and having seen what's gone on in front of him, I'm not sure he's going to want to get actually very close to Pratt based on what he's just seen, but he will have to if he wants to make his way past in these final 4 laps, which I believe we are into now, with Ashton gaining another 9/10 last time round, the gap less than a second for the lead again.
Yeah, Ashton closing up, Laird closing back up as well. So there's still a couple of things to keep an eye out with the last 6.5 minutes to go. Ashton's almost pulled a second out of Patero. Oh, Ian Knox. What have you done?
He stopped to let people through on the front straight, I think. He's just allowing people through after his pit stop.
Yeah, it does look like it, doesn't it? From that situation, but Nick Green up behind the back end of Eric Orchin. The gap up front now, 1.4 seconds.
Indeed, Patero versus Ashton. So Nick Green will continue to apply the pressure to Eric Orchin, the AM Championship leader. He won't want to take any risks here because, although having said that, even if he crashes, he'll still stay in front of Reece Bartley, you would imagine, the only other driver in the AM class. Of course, they score points on an overall basis, so it is worth plugging away here, trying to keep this position if at all possible. Driver in the background, by the way, is not for position. These guys are the last ones on the lead lap now in 8th and 9th after the big crashes we saw on the opening lap. think both of these two actually drove back to pit lane to come into the lane. No, it's only Green
Nick,
who is off the side of the circuit now through turn 10 and was looking up to find the wall again.
yeah, and that's the end of that one. There we go, that battle is all finished here as well again. So, yeah, we're going to have to try and find another one, which I'm not quite sure where that's going to come from.
The lead, I would imagine. There were only 3 laps to go. Ashton didn't gain anything. In fact, it was almost even last lap between Ashton and Patero at the front of the field. So if he catches, it's going to be with 1 lap to go or so, and he'll have to make the pass very, very quickly, which is not really what we've seen the trend being so far. Slides again, though, towards turn 4. He's taking every risk possible. And a big slide. Look at that. He knows that that curb is not really at the place you want to be, but he needs to use all the road at the moment to try and catch Patero.
And that was the curve on the outside of 4. And that, dangerous. It's only because there is that little metal gully grate that runs just over the curbing, like just the other side of the curbing, I should say. And as soon as your wheels go on that, yeah, you do that. But the fact that he caught it, well, that was quite impressive, to be honest.
That was an impressive catch after the big slide through the turn 4. He's got to start catching, though, because he's not giving himself enough time to actually make the pass here. Green somehow is on the back of Orchin again already. He's clearly a lot quicker, but just couldn't find his way past earlier on, and then made an error. Now Green goes through.
He's going to hit him!
Oh, hello! Outside at turn 5, sorry, and through he goes on Orchin, who will probably let him have that one now, and Green will, I'm sure, easily keep 8th place after that.
Wow. I honestly thought Orchard was going to come in and torpedo him then. Well, impressed that he got it stopped, though, I've got to be honest. But yeah, I definitely thought that was a game over move there for these guys, Nick Green and Eric Orchin. As we see everybody just a little bit more spread out than they were in race number 1, with about 1.4 seconds gap between the leader. The gap across the whole field at this moment in time is 49 seconds between Patero and Orchin, who are on the lead lap. Everybody else outside that are a lap down. But what do we reckon here? Is Patero going to get caught by Ashton?
Well, it looks like maybe not anymore. We gained 3 tenths to Patero last time round and got to within a 10.5 of the fastest lap of the race. And remember, there is 1 less lap in this feature race because of the way the timings have worked. We only just got around for an 11th lap last race, and that's when the leaders were going at a very good pace for the whole race. Got to remember that the leaders started from the very back of the field this time round, so it was a lot more difficult for them to squeeze the 11th lap out of this race. There's only going to be 1 more, I think, at the end of this one. We'll see if the white flag is waving, but I think because of that, the fact that Patero... Oh, no, he's off! Ooh. Just as I was saying that, Patero's gone off. A mistake, a real unforced error, actually, through turn 8. And that is bringing this lead battle right down to the wire now for the last lap.
Yeah, but he made a mistake. He went out on the curb. And he just broke and nothing happened. And that was the problem on the entrance into turn 8. And now Patero's got to go big on defense. And this is going to be an exciting... I think this is going to be the last lap.
Looks like it, yeah. We'll just confirm with the white flag waving. But look at this, Ashton to the outside. Got to be careful with that he doesn't really ruin his chances for the turn 1. He's got a much better exit. He straightens up very early. He'll get to the inside of the final corner. But no, forces Patero on a different line. Already ticked below 2 minutes. This will be the last lap very comfortably here. The white flag will be waving now. 1 lap to go here at the Hungaroring. What a grandstand finale it is going to be. Ashton on the back of Tommy Patero looking for the position. He's going to move from left to right till he breaks early. Has he forced Patero into a mistake? He might well have done. It's too late for Patero again. He's done it again. And Ashton gets through out of turn number 1. He's fooled him into a mistake on the very last lap of the race.
Wow. I don't really know what to say. I am surprised Tommy fell for that. Ashton set him up. Patero mirror driving. And unfortunately, that was it, game over. Man, I am shocked that Tommy fell for that. We knew that was coming and he still let it happen.
Well, he's too busy looking at his mirrors to look at his braking point by the looks of it and just completely missed it. And now he's got to find a way back past again. He's driven very well in race number 2 and these two probably deserve to share the win between the two. 1 win in one race, 1 win in the other, for example. But At the moment, it's going to be Ashton taking both of them, unless Patera can find something. Of course, he went off down at turn 12 on the penultimate lap last race trying to pass Ashton. Wonder whether he's going to have another go in the final sector this time.
I don't think he is going to be able to do this. Unless Ashton makes a mistake or Tommy all of a sudden finds a bottle of nitrous oxide in that Ferrari. I think he's just driving to just beyond the ability of the car, which is why we had the mistake in the first place. It's clearly now he doesn't have to mirror drive, but at the same time, I don't think he's going to get close enough.
Ashton's actually closed this race out very well in the end. Not much that Patera could have done after his mistake at turn number 1. Ashton has closed this out nicely as he comes through the final corner. Now, Jack Ashton wins both races here at the Hungaroring in the wet. He flashes the lights, he weaves over the line, he'll be very pleased with that. Tommy Patera will take another step forward in the championship here today, with Matt Warner finishing behind him on both occasions, and on this occasion with almost none of the front of his car left. So Patera gets closer to a championship, but it's back-to-back for Ashton, and it is for Kinney as well, who gains a couple of places off the start. He's up to 4th position after starting in 6th. That is a couple of places gained, and it's a double victory in the AM class for Kinney, while Orchin limps home in 9th place. Kinney will get a bit closer in the championship, although he started today 43 points behind. He's probably too far behind, but he's still in the mix. There is Orchin coming through the final corners right now. He's gotten through what could have been a much, much worse day for him.
Agreed. I think rain is such a great equaliser. It is literally just a battle of survival. I think that's the thing. And both of them, they all survived, but it's going to be so interesting to see where this championship comes from.
It is. And of course, the final races next week at Thruxton are going to be interesting in themselves as well. But thoroughly enjoyed these two races, I've got to say, here today. In the rain at the Hungaroring. This Reece Bartlett maybe enjoyed them less. He now comes through the final corners to take the checkered flag and end the day. We've got farther than Lambrecht at least, who had to retire after the early incident on lap number 1. A big pile-up we had on the back straight. Well, that's how he feels about today, I think. Reece Bartlett turns into the wall, says that's enough for me, thank you. And that'll be the end of him. So there we go. That's the end of the racing here from the Hungaroring. Jack Ashton wins the race by 1.9 ahead of Tommy Patera, with Matt Warner rounding off the top 3. Garrett Kinney wins the AM class ahead of Andy Pratt, who rounds at the top 5. Stephen Laird and Parker Enquist on the podium in the AMs ahead of Nicholas Green and Eric Orchin. The last drivers on the lead lap: Ian Knox, Alistair Clark, Reece Bartlett got to the end 1 lap down. Trey Lambrecht only got to the end of lap 1 and got involved in that crash, of course. I've got to say, thoroughly enjoyed that. Normally, the Hungaroring, not good for racing, but the rain really gave us something different here, and some brilliant battles throughout.
Yeah, I think that was the thing. That's what I mean. You've hit the nail on the head. We know the Hungaroring isn't always effective for racing, but I think this has been really good, and I've actually quite enjoyed it. I don't tell anyone that, but yeah, no, don't tell anyone. But I actually enjoyed this at the Hungaroring, and I never normally say that about the Hungaroring.
That is that's very funny. Don't tell anyone. But yes, you've said it now, so everybody knows. But yes, it was a great round, absolutely. And the rain once again producing. By the way, I don't know if we had any rain races last season. I can't remember, but we certainly did the season before, where we had the Red Bull Ring race, as I say, in the rain, and it was absolutely fantastic. Same goes again here at the Hungaroring. What a fantastic round we have had. We'll be back next week, of course, with Thruxton, the final round of the season on the 10th of August. So very much hope that you can join us for that one. Then I won't be here, but James will, and we'll bring you the final race of the final championship points race, anyway, of the season. I've been Ian O'Leary alongside James Parfitt until we see you for that championship finale at Thruxton next week. It's goodbye for now.